Hello, friends. This is Dr. Dan Carlsbad. I want to welcome everybody to Destination Health Podcast, powered by Suburban Wellness Group. I want to thank all of our listeners. Our podcast is growing, and it's growing because we have great guests on, and today is no exception. Want to welcome to our podcast today, Gina Aliotti. Gina, how are you today?
I am fabulous. How are
I
you?
love that. I'm doing well. It's a little cold here in New Jersey, and you're in California, right?
I
You
am. I'm
know,
in Carlsbad, but you're going to laugh. I have a space heater right here, and the sun is out. It's probably 60 degrees.
oh, geez, you know what? I think it's like 30 degrees here, and it's going down tonight. So it's going to be chilly tonight. But for those of you who don't know who Gina is and have been underneath a rock, she is a former IFBB figure competitor, winning the Arnold Classic in 2008, runner-up to the very prestigious Figure Olympia in '07, in '08, and '09. Now we're 10 years later. She's the mother of two individuals. She's cultivated a proven system that has allowed her to stay in the best shape of her life with no gym. We got to get into that. Her mission is to inspire and teach others how to elevate their body and life through a simplified, less is more approach to fitness using her G-Fit, I love that, G-Fit methods. Passionate helping women create permanent lifestyle changes that are realistic and maintainable. Welcome to the program. How are you today? All good?
All good. Thank you for taking me down memory lane. It feels like just yesterday for a moment that I was on stage, but then it almost feels like a complete lifetime ago.
Like a complete lifetime ago, right? And it was probably so crazy back then, eating, dieting, training all the time, right? And it becomes tough. But you weren't always in great physical condition, were you? When you were younger, you struggled with some weight, and you were, like you said, you're one of the bigger girls in class. So take us through that. And, were you athletic when you were younger? Why were you bigger? What happened?
Yeah, because that's actually what got me into the fitness industry. So I was bigger. My mom, my sister were thin. My friends were thin. And I just had more of a muscular build, definitely carried more body fat, and, was just really insecure, always insecure about my body. And ironically, my dad was a bodybuilder. So I still had health in my family. I was raised healthy, but still had that bigger build. And got into the fitness industry just because I felt like this was my calling. You were getting appreciated for having more curve, more muscle, more meat on your bones. And so I was able to really cultivate this art beyond, losing weight, but also seeing your body as this vessel that you could transform through eating healthy. And I started getting a love for, out of the insecurity, like getting a love for healthy food and how can I become happier and healthier and transform my body? So that's really where it all kind of stemmed from, that insecurity.
Right. And so, you know what? When I was younger, growing up in an Italian family, right, there was always food.
Manja, right?
Manja. There was always food. There was always more food. And then there was always extremely more food. And I kind of remember when I was younger, the homemade macaroni and the homemade gravy sauce, whichever way somebody calls that. But then at some point in time, it kind of changed where we're eating a lot of processed foods. You would get the boxed macaroni and you would eat that. And it was still a lot of food back then, Gina. And it really, for me, I ballooned up at one point to 250 to 260 pounds, going from being an athlete and going up. So, growing up, did you like the pizza? Did you like the macaroni, the pasta, and all of that stuff?
I loved it all.
Yeah.
I don't have, everyone has a sweet tooth, but I was more into the carbs, the pastas, the bread, the pizzas, and everything, as you know, I'm sure it was my Nona made it in her kitchen. So
That's
everything was just like from scratch. It was good quality food, but it was still processed, carbs and complex, it wasn't complex carbs. It was white pasta, right?
But it was a lot of it. It wasn't just that you had a bowl or a plate of macaroni. It just didn't work out that way, right?
Absolutely. And that's actually what's interesting is now the lifestyle that I've created really is about volume eating, because that's where it stemmed, having these massive meals and being almost, you felt bad leaving your plate empty. So I was one that always eat what was ever on my plate. And I grew up eating these massive meals because that was showing the love. But of course, that's not necessarily going to work when it comes to our physical goals and how allowing us to show up our best. So I had to find a way to still be able to eat this mass and this volume, but to obtain the body that I like and the lifestyle that I like. And I did it, Dan. I've done it. Cracked the code.
You cracked the code. And probably growing up when you're bigger, there's a certain mindset that goes along with that. And were you angry when you were younger? Was it frustrating for you being one of the bigger girls in class? Was that something that you had to overcome? Because kids are mean and they love to tease and all of that, right?
I remember being teased, by the boys, but I wouldn't anger. I would just say, at that, when you're growing up, you're trying to kind of wrap your head around your feelings, but I would just say kind of just insecure, just not confident. And I was always I had a smaller waist, so I would always wear something that showed my stomach, but I would always never wear shorts because I was insecure about my legs, which is where a lot of this kind of came from, because I carry my weight in my lower body. But yeah, I wouldn't say angry. I would just say not comfortable.
Right. And that becomes a problem. Now, this is in grammar school. Now, when you went to high school, did you start getting a little bit athletic?
So actually it started before high school. My dad was a former bodybuilder. My parents got a divorce. He wasn't really bodybuilding as I was growing up, but then once they got a divorce, he kind of fell back into doing something for himself, right? And so that's kind of where it all started, is he's got me involved in working out at home. We would do a little dumbbell workout in his living room. And, with my mom's background in nutrition, I was eating healthier there. So I had my mom and then my dad, the mix of both. And I did the little dumbbell workouts at his house right before going to my Catholic school in my little plaid skirt. Yeah, it's actually funny how now come full circle. That's what I'm doing now. Guilty
as charged, Gina. Go ahead.
So I was in team sports. I played softball, field hockey, gymnastics when I was younger, but I got scared off by some boys. But field hockey and softball were my two main sports. So I played those all through high school until I went off to college and realized that I didn't have time for the team sport. So I went more into an individual sport, which brought me to my fitness career.
Right. I find that fascinating. Your mom's into nutrition. Your father's into bodybuilding. It's like right there for you, right there in front of your face. And you're like, oh, now I'm going to kind of, do the family legacy, if you will, and get into that, because you have a bachelor's in food and nutrition also, right?
Correct. Yes.
Is that where you found your love of food, nutrition? I mean, being Italian, we always love food, being Italian American, and then looking at your father, is that where all of that came from?
Yeah, so it was a combination of having this insecurity and really learning about food and the fear of food as well, because I was bigger and that whole element of it. And then also having the background with my dad and getting me involved in all of this. So really just learning more about how food can fuel your body, but how you can transform your body through food and making the right choices. But I found, like I said, I cracked the code. And how can I love food. I have a big appetite. I want to reach those goals. And how can I do it? How can I do it? So I've created the GFit lifestyle now, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, a little bit later. But so I'm still able to eat the massive amounts of food and volume without having to feel deprived. It's kind of
all right. So a little off the cuff question from what we're talking about. What's your favorite Italian meal that you like to make?
Pasta. Well, it's a tie between pizza and pasta. So I do have my refuels once a week, all worked into the plan, and I'm usually going for either pizza or pasta.
All right. So you're going to overnight a pizza to me the next time you decide to make some pizza. All right. So I'll give you my address. You can, put some dry ice on it and ship it out.
This way, and I'll take you to dinner.
There you go. That's even better. Now, what was it like now being on stage, and now you're having people judge you, right? And, you're coming from being a little bit bigger. Did you have to change your mindset? Was that something that was, scary to you, because boy, they have to judge you now. They got to judge your physique.
Right. So the first time I stepped on stage with my dad, I won the class, and it was like, that was all I needed to just jumpstart things and to boost that confidence. And so from there, I just found this love in the sport. And it all started from that big, I'll say, jump of confidence that got me into the sport and now as a competitor. But beyond the physical, what the journey did for me to this stage, beyond winning the Olympia, or not the Olympia, Arnold, and runner up at the Olympia, it was the journey to that stage where I really built this mindset and an unbreakable mindset that I teach today in my philosophies and in my coaching. That, it started out as a physical with me being insecure and all of that, but really what's now fast forward 15 plus years has really, it's now such a mental game, and me going from where I was to getting on stage and all the day in and day out, breaking that you have to do and showing up for yourself, and the growth that came from that was just priceless. And I'm just so grateful now to be able to now infuse that into my own training and teach people the same mental strength that it takes to show up every single day, whether you're a competitor or mom. It's the same mental, the mindset work that we all need to cultivate.
Right. And I find that fascinating, because I was going to ask you that question and you answered it before I even asked it. What was that mindset? And you have to have a strong mindset, because you have to train every day. Your nutrition has to be on, your diet has to be on. And so many people talk about diets today, right? There's so many different diets. There's keto, there's paleo, there's this one, there's Mediterranean diet, and there's so many different trends. What do you think about all these diets today?
Yeah, there are so many different trends, and I'll call it that. There's so much goodness in each diet. There's benefits.
Yes, I agree.
There's benefits to the keto. There's benefits to if it fits your macros, in terms of maybe somebody needs to monitor their calories. But it really boils down to finding the diet that you can stick to. That's going to be the diet, one that you can stick to for life. And when people go on these trends, they may lose a little bit of weight, but then what happens is they end up gaining it all back, because they're not creating a lifestyle, number one. And number two, potentially they're jumping on keto, they're cutting out all their carbs. Of course, they're going to lose weight, but you're talking to maybe an Italian who's done keto. Now, what Italian can never have carbs again? Right?
No, it's just never going to happen. Even when I was 37, I had a heart attack. And even after that, when I said to Mom, you know what, it's Sunday afternoon dinner, I'm going to have a little piece of, salmon. I'll have some broccoli, some cauliflower, and I'm going to have a salad. She's like, oh, that's nice. And then she put a big bowl, or her homemade monoguts, forget about it. I'm salivating even just thinking about that. But there's so many fads that are out there. And I'm sure that you and we can, probably chew the same dirt, and we're trying to make that positive lifestyle change, right? As you were saying lifestyle, I was writing it down, and it's difficult at times, because somebody comes in, somebody came into me last year, they've been on the keto diet for like 6 years, and I'm talking no carbs at all, just eating fats all the time. After we did some blood work, we had to send them to the hospital, because the blood work really wasn't too good. You have to have some high impact carbs. You have to have something in order for your body to fuel. And like you said, keto can be good, right? Keto can be good.
There's
benefits. There are definitively benefits. So now you're an IFBB pro, you win the Arnold, you're runner up, and now it's done, right? What was the deciding factor to say, okay, I'm going to retire, and now I'm going to go into the next phase of life?
So I got married and wanted to start a family. And after being runner up several years in a row, I was satisfied. I had done what I needed to do. I didn't need to prove anything more and try to win. I felt full. I'd given my all at every show. I learned amazing lessons, really built that grit. And I was ready for the next chapter. I was ready to start a family. And not to say that you can't compete and have a family, but let's be honest, it can be a very selfish sport. You've got to train 3 hours a day. It's got to be all about you. And not saying you can't do it, but I chose that I wanted to kind of shift gears and focus on family, and also building my business and being able to help others with everything that I had learned from school,
Mm-hmm.
from competing, from my own personal education and experience. I wanted to just, leverage that and shift gears.
So during your times when you were competing, how many hours a day did you work out? What was your diet like? What was your workout regimen?
Cardio first thing in the morning, 45 to 50 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then weight training sometime during the day whenever I could. I didn't have kids, so my schedule was a lot more flexible. And then definitely would finish up the day with cardio. So you're looking at anywhere between 2.5 to 3 hours.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a very scary transition because as coming from somebody who was insecure, then stepped on stage, was at
Right.
what I thought was my peak, or I've reached it. I love my
You
body,
did it.
my legs. I did it.
You
And
did
then
it.
now say you're not doing that anymore. Now you're going to start a family. You're not going to have the time. I don't have 3 hours to commit. It was very
Right.
scary transition.
Right. It is.
But
It is. Because once you have kids, for our listeners who don't have kids, the world changes, and the more kids you have, and depending upon what school and what sport they're going to, you're constantly traveling all over the place, right?
Right. And as you said, even if you don't have kids, it's called life. You have a husband
Right.
now, you have jobs, and you're
Right.
wearing more hats and doing more things, and time becomes very limited. So I ended up going back to my childhood methods that my dad taught me, which was work out at a gym or at home. You don't need to work out at a gym. So I started using circuit training. Less is more, which is where this comes in. I use less weight. I do higher reps. I move. I only have 30 minutes, but I move
Right.
quick. And
So you actually say you're in better shape right now with the only home workouts, right?
absolutely doing so much less and so much less time, so much less weight and weights, dumbbells. And what I love is that with working with so many women, they feel they have to do so much. And
Right.
I was that person. I was killing it, doing so
Right.
much. And now to say that I'm in better shape now, doing a quarter of the work, it removes so many excuses from women's plates to show them you don't have to kill yourself. And if anything, Dan, it is doing more damage. Thinking that you have to do more is doing more damage to you on a mental and physical level.
Mm-hmm. I will share with you, I struggle with that because my son plays hockey, and as we were discussing, and like he's got practice tonight, so he's doing his homework right now. And if when I'm done, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to say, okay, let's go rep out some push-ups. Let's go rep out some sit-ups. Let's do some squats. Let's get going. And it's always that more philosophy is better, because we all think we got to go crazy, like you said, 3 to 4 hours in the gym. But I like this less is more philosophy, and you're in better shape, which is really quite amazing.
And pulling myself out of it, all you have to do is look at the girls that have been living this lifestyle that I've been coaching them through,
Mm-hmm.
and they have maintained, and I don't even want to say maintain, they've gotten better, but there's been
Mm-hmm.
no rebounds because we're creating a lifestyle, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. This is totally realistic. And that's what I'm about, is helping people start to cultivate a lifestyle that's realistic, that keeps them showing up, because it's through those day in and day out show ups and that consistency is where we're going to get the longevity.
Right. So when you have a client come to see you, do they expect you to, like, I'm going to have a 2-hour workout for you every other day, and on your off days, you're going to run 3 miles? Do they expect that when they come to see you?
It's funny. Yes.
Right?
I deliver to them what they're doing, or now in the GFit app, when they see the workouts that we're doing, the majority of the messages and comments that I get is, that's it. I'm like, that's it. And guess what? Tomorrow we're going to do it again. And the next day we're going to do it again. And now it's so interesting how my coaching has shifted to now really trying to, I have to convince people, but it's through my own, proof is in the pudding, that you don't have to kill yourself. And I have to convince people of this less is more. And it's the hardest thing people have to do, because just like the diets, where they're so stuck on thinking you have to diet or you have to grind hard and hustle and more is better, it's a complete new rewiring of the brain, but that's where it needs to be.
And I find it interesting because I'm having, it's January, so everybody wants to lose, weight. Everybody wants to get in the best shape of their lives, and they go from 0 to 60 in a tenth of a second, right, Gina? And I deal with that on a daily basis right now, where I'm saying to them, let's make some positive lifestyle changes, because I think it'll be more sustainable than going in and trying to change everything all at once, because it becomes a problem. And that can be difficult. It's a different mindset that you have to have in a different headspace. It's difficult at times, because they just want to change their lives. They want six-pack abs tomorrow or yesterday. It's January 5th. We're doing our podcast. In January 3rd, they wanted their abs, but they don't understand that they
all or nothing.
Right.
All or nothing. And we have to create this balance. And it's funny you talk about what you're saying with the new year. And it's funny that we're talking about this right now, because it's perfect timing to have this conversation. That, I do mantras every Monday in the app. I do an audio mantra, which is basically a mindset hack of, I'm really big in the mindset, as we talked about, how to keep people showing up every single day. So the mindset, or the mantra from last week, was cultivating a stepping mindset. And we hadn't entered the new year yet. And I was talking about how I know everyone's trying to come up with all these big grandiose goals for the new year. Oh, I'm going to make up for those, those miles that I didn't run in the previous year. I'm going to get on this diet. Like, everything's extreme. And so I was talking about how I wanted in 2021 to cultivate this stepping mindset, where we're going to treat January 1st just like it's July 21st, just like it's October 2nd. Every day, there's no different in January 1st as there is going to be in July. It's a step. I told everyone, I don't want you to leap into the new year. I literally just want you to step. I want you to show up for yourself, make that one positive change and step. And every day it's a stepping mindset, because as you try to go out with a bang, that's when you're going to burn out. So it's just about slow and steady wins the race. But Dan, nobody wants to hear that, because they want those quick results.
They want the quick results. They want the six-pack abs. And for our listeners today, what Gina and I are discussing right now, and I think this is very important, when you go from one extreme to the next, you're setting yourself up for failure. And you may not have that ability to accomplish your goals. And we're going to talk, we could talk about life, and we'll get into that in a second, because this you can use not only for working out and getting into better shape, but for your relationships, for your husband, your wife, significant other, your children. And if you go to these extremes, you fail. And what Gina said before was what her experience is, and what my experience is too. You may lose 10 to 12 pounds, right, Gina? And then you go to that extreme, and then all of a sudden, you start failing, and maybe you start failing really bad. Now you gain not only the 12 pounds back, then you gain another 20 pounds. It's a scientific term called rebound, by the way.
And it's the mindset that shifts. I can't do this. I'm defeated. I wasn't made for this. I'm not good enough. I mean, it's a constant.
It's the language that we tell ourselves when we go from one extreme to the next. But if we can make those simple, positive lifestyle changes, it's much better to start off and say, hey, listen, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And you know what? I come from a generation where it's kind of a type A personality, where we were taught, you got to go 60 miles an hour. It's all day, every day. That's it. Exactly. And it doesn't work, because you burn yourself out. That's the first thing. You burn yourself out, and you fail. You fail at this. And you can use this not only, like I said, for working out, but for life, right?
All of these lessons that we talk about, and all of the lessons I learned to get myself on stage, and what people think was a physical goal, all of these lessons are what have carried me through life. Like, just like you said, they're all things that you use for your fitness game, for your marriage, for how you show up at work. All of these things just really infiltrate into every area of your life. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's great. And so if this has all brought you to GFit, What is G-Fit? I like it, Gina Fit, G-Fit. I like it. It's a really catchy name, catchy tune. So tell us, what is G-Fit?
So G-Fit's it's a way of living. So my dad used to call me G as a little girl, and I got into fitness. So I was like, perfect, G-Fit is meant to be. And so it's a lifestyle that I've created. And now I have a G-Fit app, which basically is, it's an app, but it's so much more than that. It's the lifestyle. It's the mindset work. It's the show up every single day with me, hit play, and I'm going to coach you through a less is more G-Fit circuit that's going to give you the best results in the least amount of time, but you got to show up. Then it also has,
Right.
my style of dieting. I don't like to call it dieting, but I use carb cycling, where I
Mhm.
manipulate fats and carbs so that
Right.
you're never eliminating one macronutrient. So you get the benefits of keto on a low day. You get the benefits of having, your carbohydrates, the good carbs on the carb days, but it's how we manipulate the macronutrients where you never feel deprived. So you never feel like you need to go have a binge, because everything is beautifully laid out for you there. And the beautiful thing is the volume eating. I'm volume eater. So vegetables are free. There's lots of free food. So you're never sitting there with this tiny little micro meal, starving to death, which is going to lead to binges and whatnot. So it's nutrition, and it's tons of recipes. It's everything in one place. And the biggest thing is the community that we've built. There's a private Facebook group page. I do weekly lives.
What's the private Facebook group page?
There's a group page that comes when you join the community.
Got it.
It's all people from all walks of life.
Great.
Great thing is it works no matter where you are in life, no matter what age. And we're all just rooting for each other. The support system is amazing from all over the world. So yeah, it started out as me, I work with one-on-ones, and then wanting to help more people, cultivating this lifestyle and getting it out to more people. Now I've turned it into this app. So it's your all-inclusive fitness platform.
I love it. And we discussed it a little bit. What is the one thing that you think that holds people back? The biggest problem that holds individuals back? And then I'm going to follow it up with another question.
That they don't have enough time. They don't have enough time to do, what they think it takes. And all I say is, give me 7 days free in the app. And I just want you to follow this for 7 days. And I want you to show up. And guess what? On Wednesday, there's a yoga flow, because I'm all about balance and I'm all about what's going to keep everyone showing up. It's not go, 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 go. There's a midweek flow. We do yoga. We replenish the body, the mind. Then on Sunday, there's a non-negotiable unplug day where you just get yourself on track. So give yourself a week and see what it feels like to walk in the lifestyle, the G-Fit lifestyle, and see that you don't have to kill yourself. You don't need a lot of time. That's the biggest thing that people say, is they just don't have time.
So time is always something that individuals say, but yet they like to watch. They're binging on whatever show it is. I don't know when the last time I really watched TV. I maybe a month ago it was a Netflix, and I think it was snowed that day, and I was binging, and I was with my son. We were just kind of hanging out and so forth. Take us through a week, Monday, Tuesday, all the way to Sunday with the G-Fit lifestyle. What is it like?
So every month I put together a challenge or a set of workouts. So you don't have to think about what you're going to do. You just simply pop open the app, hit play on day 1, day 2. Mm-hmm. And I do a lot of circuit training. So while some workouts will be focused on shoulders and back and upper and lower, for the most part, it's full body. So we're utilizing upper, lower body throughout the week. And every month is different. Sometimes it's more of we did an ab challenge, we did a shoulder challenge, buns and guns, arms. But everything's laid out. So Monday and Tuesday, we do some form of a circuit training. Then on Wednesday, I'm really big on yoga and stretching. I got my certification in yoga. I'm really big on that. Again, mindset and stretching and staying aligned in mind and body. Mm-hmm. That is the hardest day for people to trust. And then
why is that? Why is that the hardest day for people?
Because they think they have to go. They're like,
right. It's like
Monday grind, Tuesday grind, and now you're telling me to slow down. And I'm like, yes, just trust in the process. but these people are still here years later. So obviously it's keeping them on track.
Right. Because you do need a day where you're down. You do need an off day, maybe a stretch day. I never did that. I got a million injuries, by the way. When I played football, they're just surgeries and so forth. I wish I took a day off here and there, but it doesn't happen. So for those of you listening, have that off day when you're with GFit. Take that Wednesday off and don't give her any grief that you got to push.
Those days are going to give you the fuel that we need to keep going.
Right.
So then on Thursday, we pick it up again, and Friday and Saturday is usually like a fun weekend hit type workout. I keep it changing. I keep it fun. Keeps your head in the game, keeps your body responding. And then one day a week, which is Sunday, it took me this has been about 2-3 years strong now that I'm sold on an unplugged day. And now it takes a lot of time for people to fully embody this because they go. But it's that day to get stuff done, to get the laundry done, to unplug from social media, to have that time where you can do a little self-care, prepare for the week. It's really important.
Self-care is important. It's not selfish. It's not selfish. It is very important.
So important. I mean, I felt like I was a hamster on a wheel because from Monday to Sunday, and working all the time from home and whatnot, there's never an off day. There's never an off. You're constantly going. You're
always bringing work home. And I really like the program from what I'm hearing. You're making it different. You're making it fun. So it's not the same all the time. All right. I'm doing, it's shoulder day. I'm going to do military presses. So there's this variety that happens. I want to go back for a second. What was the biggest thing that held you back when you were competing? What would you do differently? Interesting question, right?
Yeah, because I feel like I did everything that I knew in that moment. I did everything to the level that I knew to do. So looking back, what would I do differently? I think the only thing now that I've gotten more into yoga would have been maybe taking a little bit more time for this. Of course, I stretch, but for the mental aspect, for the days of just doing some yoga flows, because I was Monday through Sunday grinding it out because that's what I thought I had to do to get to that level. And I won't know any different because that's how I always did things through my competitive days. But I think now I would like to incorporate a little bit more of my own philosophies that I have now in that, and see how maybe my body would have, I was at top level, but maybe it would have, there's nothing to do with winning, but maybe it would have just shined a little bit differently. Maybe I would have been more aligned if I would have had a little bit more like stillness in the soul. I'm not really sure. That's a good question.
You know what? I like your answer because if I see fit, I'll ask this question. And I've also thought about it myself. What would I have done differently? And I agree with you. I would have had a day, whether it was a self-care or a stretching day or something to bring it down more instead of the, let's go type of a thing. And really what we're talking about here and what Gina's talking about is that you need to be consistent. So you're setting up their week, and they're making it fun. You're making it different, but they have to do it. They have to be consistent, because consistency and persistence, if you will, really is the key to achieving any goal, whether it's fitness or in business, because I have so many friends that have tried to open up a chiropractic office, and just as they're ready to take off and help a lot of people, and they stop and they walk away from it. You need to be consistent. Let's talk more about consistency. What was that like for you then and now?
So that's been the name of my game. I mean, consistency then, I had a purpose. So I woke up, I knew that I had to be on stage at a certain level and I was going to be in a tiny bikini. So that got me showing up every single day.
Yeah, that gets you showing up, right?
But I've taken that, every day, back in the day when I was selling my DVDs until now, like my favorite quote from Robert Collier is, "Success is the sum of the small efforts we do day in and day out."
Amen.
And it's so true. It's like every day, that stepping mindset, every day, one thing. If all you do is go from 0 to 5 minutes around your block, And the next day you do another 5 minutes.
Right.
I guarantee that you're going to end up doing more than 5 minutes because you're going to start feeling good and then endorphins are going to flood and you're just going to want more. But just starting and then every day doing that small thing, it all adds up. And that's really what it's about.
And it's interesting that you say that. Take 5 minutes and walk around the block. And I'll make a recommendation. Let's say I get a patient in from, a referral from a cardiologist or whatever, and, their lipids are high and it's all off and they've never really worked out before. It's constant. I'm going to go run a 10K today. No, you're not. It's not going to happen. I'll say, what did the cardiologist say? 10 to 15 minutes out your door for a period of time. Do that for a month and then come back. Take your dog, go for a walk with your significant other, 15 minutes, 10 minutes out, and then come back. Do that and start building yourself up. Don't go crazy. As we said, the extremes, they really hurt you. And what bothers me a lot is those that are in our industry, they prey upon that, right? And they'll say, "Oh, come to me. I'm going to get you in shape in 2 weeks." They're bench pressing 350 pounds and they've never picked up a barbell or a dumbbell before in their entire life, right, Gina? And then, now they're injured because now you've prepaid for 3 months. You gave them so much money. Stay away from that. Like Gina said, slow and steady.
Well, you have to build a foundation. And I think so many people are just going in it thinking, they're just looking in the mirror and they're just looking at the physical results. I want those fast because I want to get rid of that felt fat. But it's not the glamorous part, but when you build the foundation and when I say get up and walk 5 minutes a day, that's what we're doing is we're building the foundation. We're building the habit of you getting up and getting moving.
I was just going to write down habit. We're changing the lifestyle. We're making those habits that need to get you to that point. Because I'm sure when you get somebody in as a client, right, and let's say they Google you and they're looking at your pictures of when you were on stage, they're like, I want that and I want that. Now, if Gina did it, I can do that also. Maybe, but you got to be consistent and you got to take your time. The other thing that you discuss is digging deep. Digging deep. It's your motivational slogan. But less is more. It seems a little counterintuitive here. So what does that mean to you?
So when you think of digging deep, for most people, they think of like a Navy SEAL training boot camp, like dig deep, you got to do this. And so I can see where you get that feel from it, but really in the G-Fit lifestyle, digging deep is the most gentle way of saying that we all have that same potential. I have the same potential as you, as Sandra, as Kathy, and it's really about digging deep within yourself to cultivate that inner strength to get you out of bed. So it's not about digging deep and going harder and grinding more. It's actually digging deep within yourself to know your worth, to get you out of bed, to get you moving. And so that's what I refer to as digging deep, but it's helping people. I have the flame, my G-Fit is a flame. It's helping people dig deep within themselves to ignite that inner fire. And that's what it's really about, is helping people to ignite that fire that we all have. It's just stagnant because they don't have the right tools or they're all wrong program.
And to all my Navy SEAL friends and clients, we thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%, because we've had a bunch of Navy SEALs and we're going to have some more Navy SEALs on our podcast, along with Marines and so forth. So we're big supporters of that.
Absolutely, yes. And there is a time and a place, for every style of training. There's a time and a place, but when you're a mom and you're trying to cultivate talent, then it's a different style of training. I think that's also important to mention too, is that as your lifestyle changes, your goals are gonna shift as well, and your approach is gonna shift.
So they become more aligned. Right. They become more aligned in what you're going to be doing and what your goals are. Because again, like you said, if you're a mom or you're a dad and you have kids and so forth and so on, and it changes. So you're not going to perhaps run that marathon this weekend, or you're not, maybe you can't hit the gym, that weekend because you're going to a cold hockey rink or you're going to gymnastics or whatever, and it's a tournament. So that's important to know because there's different, like you said, you can dig deep in the Navy SEAL way at different times in your life. You're in high school, you're really into a particular sport. Maybe that's what is needed in order to get you to the next level. And I think that's important to make that distinction.
Yeah.
What is the age range that you have?
That's a really interesting question. It goes from, the answer is there's so many walks of life. For a while I had a hard time kind of like, okay, what's my target market? It's moms that are 35 to 45. And it's like, you know what? 50% of the people that are in my space are over 50. They're 50, 60, 65. And what I love about that is the proof that you only get better with age and that anybody can do this at any level. So it's really anyone from around my age, I would say 35 up to 65. And I'm sure that there's some outliers there as well.
Right. And you know what? I think you just made an important point because those that are listening to this and are considering you, if you're in your 60s, you can still do this, and you modify it and you'll be able to help them along. I'm knocking on heaven's door when it comes to 60 years old. I feel pretty good at the age of 60, and I think I'm in pretty good shape. But one of my goals is to get in a little bit better shape because I have a 12-year-old, and I want to make sure that I keep up with him because Gina, he beats me every single time when we go run. He just destroys me. I think he could do more pull-ups. No, I could do more pull-ups than him, but he's getting there. He's getting there. So you can even be in your 60s and you can still do this and you can be vibrant and healthy and so forth, right?
You know what, Dan? I think that the reason why there's such an older community and crowd is because once they see that they can do this, because I think so many people use age as another, whether it's time or age. I'm too old, I can't do that. That ship has sailed. Once they see that this is something they can do, and once they see that they can make these changes in their body later in life, it's like game changer because they, and I think as we get older, we not that we lose purpose, but maybe our kids are grown or we have different, we're not the sports athlete that we were, and so it gives some purpose in something we do every single day for ourselves. And I think that it's really just given, no matter what age you wake up, this is what you do, this is who I am, this is what I eat, this is my lifestyle, and then you get to enjoy life, your best body, best self ever.
Yeah, I love that. Best body, best self ever, because that breeds confidence, breeds self-worth, self-esteem. You're feeling better with your partner, you're feeling better with your family, with your children, you're feeling better at work, you could just perform better. Now, you have 2 kids. How old are your kids?
They're gonna be 6 and 8 in just a couple of days.
Oh, wow. So they're Capricorns like I am. I'm hitting that 59 in 5 days. Oh, geez. Anyway.
You talk about consistency in the GFit app. I've been doing this for so long that you will see in the videos, in the workouts, my son will be with me doing squats in the baby carrier. My daughter, Nicolette, will be on the ground. And no matter what life has presented me, whether I was a mother or, multiple jobs, I have shifted, and this has just been something that's kept me grounded through it all. And I've been consistent no matter what. Right.
Now, let me ask you a question about your children, because I'm doing it with my son. Are you teaching them the love of working out, being physically fit? Are you doing that with them?
I'll be honest, not as much as you would think, because I believe more in them learning through watching. If I tell them they can't do this and they have to work out, I feel like that could potentially be dangerous.
That could backfire. That could backfire. I've been there. I had to change my whole headspace and my mindset with my son. And it was a scary time where he was going to give up hockey, and the coaches were like, he can't, because he plays pretty well, if you will,
Right.
So there's definitely that balance when it comes to children, right?
But they're catching on because they see what you do. I think they learn more from watching you. And then when they have their moments and they have their sugar, they feel how it feels. And we talk about that as well. Like, this is why you're feeling this way. This is why we don't eat the sugar. But I wasn't the one that was like, you can't do that, so.
Yeah, that's probably the way that we were brought up in an Italian American household, going to a Catholic school way back in the day. But, it doesn't seem to work that way. Boy, we're almost up on our hour. I still have a couple of more questions. So you have challenges. You mentioned them. What type of challenges do you have during the course of a year at the GFit app?
So I have some bigger challenges. Like, we're about to start one here in a few days. It's a big New Year's challenge where we all rock one of my programs together. It's the Breakthrough Plan this year. But aside from the bigger challenges that I have, every month I put together just a fun challenge. Like I said, whether it's an ab challenge, 30 days abs, muffin top melter. So you're focusing on the core, sexy shoulders. And so not only do you have something to look forward to every day with something different, but it's a fun challenge. It's just fun. And I know that through my competing, what kept me showing up was that carrot, right? It was that challenge. So now I realize that having those challenges and those 30-day goals or those 6-week goals is really what keeps you showing up. So whether you're joining the challenge, like the New Year's challenge or not, you can show up for the workouts, or if you want to go all in, that opportunity is there for you as well. And my biggest challenge of the year is my summer squat challenge. And this is a good one to end with because it really wraps up the consistency conversation that we've been having every year for 6 years now. This will be the 7th year. It's a free challenge. It's in the app where you get every day is a new squat variation, and it's 100 squats every day of summer. But listen, you can do them any way, any variation. So you can use the variation that I've shared, or you can do whatever variation you want, and you can split it up however you want. So it's 10 and then 10. So talking about creating this lifestyle and this commitment, 94 to 95, depending on how many days are in the summer, of you showing up, doing 100 squats your way. After that summer squat challenge has been the most incredible transformations, not only in body and booty, but in the mindset. Of like, wow, I can do this. And that is where I've gained a lot of new eyes on my stuff, is all from that summer squat challenge.
I love that. So how do they, in a couple of days, you said you have a challenge. How do our listeners join that challenge? Do they have to join GFit? What is the process?
Yeah, so simply go to my website and you can shoot me a message since we only have a few days here, or simply the best way to do it is to download the GFit app. It's 7 days free. And so you can explore the app. I've got workouts in there right away. Join the support group. And then any questions at all, I'm really, really hands-on. So it's basically like getting your personal trainer in your pocket, literally. So I'm there to help along the way. So the best place to start would be go to my website, get on my newsletter list, and download the GFit app.
You know what? You're not going to get any better for all of our listeners. So what I recommend you do is, at the end of this, please go to the website, get the newsletter, sign up. And like Gina said, she's hands-on. So if you have any questions, ask her so that we can get them answered and join up. I love this.
Yeah. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. So like I said, I get back to all the messages personally. I don't have an assistant that does it. So I really want to help. So if there's anything that I can help with, shoot me a message, shoot me an email.
I love that. And to have somebody who's hands-on, who's a champion, everybody that's listening, you better take advantage of it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dan.
So Gina, is there anything else that you want to impart upon us before we end our podcast today?
I feel like we could talk for hours.
You know what? I feel like we're just starting here, and we're going to have you back on in a few months.
Yeah, next time maybe over a glass of wine. Like let's just do this right.
Yeah, we'll have a glass of wine. We'll get some pizza.
Foods on the GFit plan.
Yeah, we could do that.
The biggest thing I would say is, really, when you download the GFit app, you'll get all the mantras in there, and please listen to the one on the stepping mindset to really kind of kickstart you into this new year. But having that mindset that tomorrow you're just going to take that step. that tiny, tiny little step. And I don't care if it's a micro step,
Right.
tomorrow you're going to step. And the next day you're going to step, and start to cultivate this stepping mindset over this marathon mindset that's going to get you nowhere, and just trust it. And then let's talk again in 365 days and see how this mindset really carried over into every area of your life.
Thank you very much. I think this has been a great conversation, been very informative. As we say, we like to motivate, we like to educate, and we like to inspire. And this has been all of those. So again, it's GinaAliotti.com, right? ALIOTTI.com.
Nailed it.
Come on, I can do that. And I didn't even look it up, and I can nail that. So it's all good. Please go to the website. We recommend Gina. I mean, again, champion, you're not going to get any better. So Gina, thank you very much for being on. We'll have another podcast because I think we're just scratching the surface. And I think there's more to talk about. We'll have a bottle of Chianti and some pizza, or maybe some homemade Monagot. I don't know. I can eat dozens of those. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. Dr. Dan, you can get us at suburbanwellnessgroup.com, 973-483-2277. Again, GinaAliotti.com. Please call her. Let her help you. Gina, thank you very much for being on today.
Thank you so much, Dan. Take care. Ciao.
Take care, everybody. Ciao, ciao.